Hi, this is Don Hodor from the Southpointe Marcellus Shell Chamber of Commerce, and we're here today at the California University Innovation Center. Our studios are here, and today in our studio we have Anna Marie Rodriguez, and she is Trade Commissioner for the Canadian Consulate. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Don.
Hey, good to see you're here. Glad to see you could make it from out of Pittsburgh. And I just want to talk about a few things. First of all, your office is located in Pittsburgh at 1 Oxford Center, I believe.
That's correct.
Good. So you made the trip out to meet us and talk a little about what's happening with Canada and how it relates to us here in Southpointe. So I'll start out by talking about how we met. And I guess that was when? April of this year. We put together a program, and it was called Pop-Up Canada. You want to say a little about what that was about?
Sure. Pop-Up Canada is similar. It's like taking our consulate off in New York City and bringing it to Pittsburgh for 1 week, and where we occupy 20,000 square foot space, and we answered and dealt with the same kinds of questions and issues that you normally would if you were actually a consulate. So we had a lot of stuff on energy, cybersecurity, how to do business in Canada. We talked about the electric grid.
Sure, the electrical grid, and I think you have quite a few energy systems. Solar power was one of the
wind was another one we do.
Wind, and you know the part that we played in the program was the shell energy aspect, and a lot of people don't realize that in Canada you have as much shale drilling as we do here.
Right. In addition to the shale, we also have what we call we do oil in the Alberta area. So energy has been a big part of Canada for many, many years, as well as the innovation that's coming out of Canada right now.
One of the things I learned from that event was that actually Canada does a lot of trading of energy with us, and I asked why, and I believe it was Consulate General John Prada that was there, and he did some explaining for us, and Ambassador Dewar. We trade a lot of import of energy from the west side of the United States,
right,
down through Calgary, and then on the east side we trade in the other direction.
That's correct.
So our trades kind of go like this, and it equals out, but it's an opportunity where it's difficult for you to move energy from east to west, and it's difficult for us to move it from in the other direction, or west to east. And what it turns out is that we're able to swap in that way. So we have quite a bit of trade. In fact, maybe you had some numbers on what the actual trade is. Even in Pennsylvania, it's pretty high.
One of the best things about Pennsylvania and the Canada relationship is that Canada and Pennsylvania are most equal in trade. We are the #1 trading partners for Canada here in Pennsylvania, as well as we sell a lot of stuff from advanced manufacturing. For the first time in the history of gas, we are now selling natural gas going to Canada. It's the first time that now the pipelines are reversing. Canada used to buy from the western part and bring it over to the Toronto and Ontario area, and now we're bringing it in from the Pittsburgh area to Canada.
Well, it's great that we have that kind of a relationship, because I always thought of Canada as just cars, because I know we had a lot of automobile labor in Canada as well. So let's talk a little about now. We talked about what brought us together in the past, so let's talk a little about what you have coming up. What's new and exciting that we can look forward to here in the Pittsburgh area and beyond?
Well, right now we're doing a partnership with the city of Niagara Falls in Ontario.
Okay.
And we're going to be doing what they call a familiarization trade mission coming here in November. And we will be partnering with PNC Bank and doing a part 2, the how to do business in Canada, or wanting to do business in Canada. And what that entails is actually bringing our economic development officers to Pittsburgh, so people can really ask more in-depth questions. Because what we did was we talked about before how similar it is to do business. We have a common language, common law, how close it is, a vicinity to travel. And that makes it great trading partners. But what we're now going to talk about is, we get into taxes, incentives, visas, immigration rules and regulations, and we're going to start going more in depth to those questions. So that'll be on November 12th.
So it's kind of a nuts and bolts workshop?
Right.
Great.
So we'll have people from the U.S. Commercial Service, PNC, and our economic development officers there.
Who would attend, or who would be a candidate for trading? What would it be? A particular category, a company, business, or service, product?
You don't need to have a product that you want to sell. You may want to set up. So Southpointe may say, hey, I want to go set up and have my telecommunication business there and handle that. So then you would go and find out, what are any rules, regulations, or maybe you're an engineering company and you want to set up an office there. You want to find out, is your degree, any reciprocal agreements between your engineering degree here and the Canadian?
Sure.
So those are the kind of questions we will be able to answer at that point.
Now, you have an event, and maybe we could talk a little about the date and time of the event, location, that's coming up right around the corner.
Right, it'll be November 12th, doing business with Canada, and it'll be at the Sheraton Station Square, 3 to 5 o'clock. And then, while this is going on with the Pennsylvania companies, Canadians from the city of Niagara Falls will be here taking a tour of Pittsburgh. And then we are going to have a reception where we bring the both groups together around 5:30 till 7:30 that evening at Station Square.
So that's November 12th, Station Square, 3 to 5 p.m., and that's the actual time of the workshop?
Right.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
So it's going to be pretty concentrated with just 2 hours, so you better make sure you bring your notebooks and
Well,
cameras.
Well, the other good thing about this is that on the 13th, the Canadian companies will have a full day of information regarding the energy sector, the advanced manufacturing, meeting people from SMC, from the Pittsburgh Tech Council, meeting people from the Pittsburgh Regional Alliance, and having a full day of understanding what's going on in Pittsburgh. And then the next day, well, they're going to tour Southpointe and other areas.
Good.
We're going to have one-on-ones available for a company like yourself who might say, hey, you know what, I didn't want to ask questions in public, but I'd like to talk to somebody about my specific concerns regarding maybe doing business in Canada. So we'll have one-on-one appointments available on Friday for companies who may not be able to make it that day on the 12th, but may want to come on Friday and say, hey, can I have some private time to meet with the U.S. Commercial Service and an economic development officer from Canada?
Well, I'm sure we can set up our facility for being able to put together those interviews and that interview time, and you'll see a lot more about that. So just come to our website, which is southpointeevents.com, and your website, which is
CanadaPGH.com.
Right.
Right.
Okay, great. And any phone numbers to throw out there? Or we...
The main number for our office is 412-577-4068.
Okay. Well, I want to thank you, Anna Marie, for stopping in this afternoon and talking to us about what's happening new in Canada here and in the past and in the future. And this is Don Hodor from the Southpointe Marcellus Shell Chamber, thanking you for viewing us.